Hello. So I was watching this video of this road cut from Sean Wilsey that he posted, I guess 2 days ago now. Let's check it out. Okay. So I believe this is Utah, I said. Okay, Utah. It's really interesting. Wow, it's here. That can't be it. Whatever. It's probably around here somewhere, I guess. It doesn't really matter. What matters is its details. So let's check them out. I'm not going to watch the video. I don't want to play it. But it's in the severe orogeny. And I took a bunch of screenshots. Because it's really... also... That's pretty sweet. Gemini generated. I asked it to generate the Colburn Bible dragons around the earth as if it was a disc. This one, the coolest one that it generated. That one's pretty cool. I mean, they're all pretty cool, but it's hard to get it to do. I was trying to say, like, what it would look like from the surface, like looking up, but it just wouldn't do that. Anyway, okay. I've watched this twice, and then I was just some reason watching it again because I posted a comment and it got a like, and I was like, oh yeah. And then I was looking at what I commented. It's like, oh yeah. Then I started watching again. I'm like, oh yeah. So maybe we can see now a little circle here. Maybe circle here. As we go, we're going to see lots of features that are quite curious. So let's just get a little closer. I noticed just the way, so this is a road cut. So some of the aspects to this wall are by it being cut. So there's probably going to be like cleave marks like in certain places here and there. Potentially, I don't know if I see any distinctly though, so I'm not sure. But it's a road cut. Okay. So just that in mind. But still, even though it's a road cut, like the nature of what we see is a function of the material and how it's formed and just its nature. So it's still we're able to see the things we're going to talk about. Let's just get to more detail. So okay, this is I would like to start with really good details to like captivate, at least be like reasonably enough where people aren't like, what the fuck, dude. But we're just gonna do this in the order that it comes. This one I think is like a good enough starting point. So what I'm basically seeing when I look at this, that what pops out to me is this base region, whatever's going on in the larger picture besides the point. but just that there's this like layer down here that's solid. It has a break here, but like okay. And then over here, another like relatively solid layer of this lighter material. And then between it is this region where specifically we see like these circles that are like one after another. Here, 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 but also larger, like filling the space with like a nucleus here, where there's circles having like two rings, a nucleus and an outer ring, basic structure of that nature. That's just repeating itself, kind of suggestive of a current flow, like through a tube generally, that is like happening in an eddy shape that has other eddies literally just adjacent one another like this in a string of eddies that all have current like propagating through the material though, because it's a road cut, so we're just seeing a cross section. So like the road cut aspect of it is not creating these circles. And if we look up here, we see some as well. As we go though, they're more distinct. Like over here, this boundary is a little more distinct than like down here, like right. These lines here are like, is that really related to some kind of like ring that maybe has more than the simple inner nucleus and outer ring structure sometimes? It's going to have instances that are more distinct, which is really curious. This is maybe just from the angle, but that's interesting. The way that's rounded also, although that might be more related to the road cut aspect, but it's still probably is just being like forcibly broken, so it probably breaks in some weak point that is related to eddy flows that were happening when it was forming. So let's just get to some more details though. There's a specific location of this wall that really captivated me. This right here just made me think of dendrites inside of an ammonite structure. So maybe we should real quick just pull up a shallogram, because it's gonna come in handy, I guess. Let's say whatever. Sure. So what I mean by dendrite is like this area, but more just subtle. It just reminds me of it. I'm not saying it's actually that. Just the lumpy, branchy thing going on though. Then here, not the best circle, but I was thinking there's a circle here with a nucleus over there. Very subtle though. Then we're seeing some boundaries that are pretty sharp differences. Something of interest. Over here it looks like it bends completely back. Right there. Maybe it might just be the image quality. Here we see like a central thing, and then around it here. So notice here, it's pretty distinctly in the wall. It's not just... And then down here, or across here, there's even like a different color material in there. It's lighter, although maybe it's related to this, but it's also like up higher here. Seems to go up there too, but like related to some kind of like rectangular region in which the eddy generally occupies, that the adjacent eddies are maybe creating like chambers of different sizes in. Things are going on that are like sacred geometry, like, I guess. Like, here's a good one. We're still not to the detail that I was just sitting here and I was like, fuck, I gotta record. Skip everything. All this other stuff I have, like, I gotta record those things. Because not really even these details, though. But that one looks really distinct. But if you notice right here, it's like a circle there. And then here, across here, down this way, across here, to basically have a large circle here below this one, like, but abutting it. And then that one is abutting this circle over here, or overlapping, reaching its nucleus, depending. So there's those, but then if we kind of zoom out a little further, like over here and across this way, and then across here, so kind of like wrapping underneath this circle so we don't really see it, and then out over here, and generally around and underneath maybe here, and around and underneath maybe there too, I don't know. Just having a nucleus region like there, another circle, and you probably can see them other places if you're actually picking up what I'm putting down. Then these had striations, which immediately I'm like, striations. Striations, like shallograms, like in here. This is not the best example, but in here, there could be striations, as well as on the outside, but I was thinking more like actually inside of a ammonite structures, like a chakra, basically. Basically, that made me think of a chakra. Okay, let's get to some other stuff, because again, circle type thing. I'm just kind of taking pictures of anything that it kind of looks like a circle is going on in it. A boundary here. Here's a circle here. And notice there's a fault. So he calls it a fault. So it geologically is a fault there. But it wraps around here and goes that way too, interestingly. And then embedded within it, but extending beyond it, is a circle that we see here that has a nucleus here. And this one's real interesting because what's coming across this way is multiple layers, and as it approaches, it seems like one layer branches upward and the other layer goes straight. And then it interacts over here with this. And then this continues up through here and seemingly wraps around, and then it's above this. So it comes back above it. And then maybe underneath it does that. It like continues underneath the mass. Just layers wrapping like that. Or it's just not able to overwhelm other more linear currents. I don't know. But also the nucleus has so there's this fracture fault line and then this, but then at the nucleus, boundary of the nucleus is another one here that's running parallel to the one over here that's generally at the boundary, but a little bit before, like in the structure, where the structure actually like runs past it and goes back. It's incredible. Still not what I was really even wanting to talk about, though. If we look over here, it even becomes like this wedge thing. Like we've been running into these wedges, like Hikurangi Plateau, that Farallon slab, the far eastern one in against the westward subducting slabs. And then this stuff, let's keep going. Just layering in here. It's like crinkling at this interaction of like some kind of pressures like this, but leading to some kind of slipping, but or something. Something's going on that is then bending at the resistance here and leading to this divide thing with this little wedge again. Like a current is flowing in, is these currents, but as it approaches, it literally divides and goes part this way and part this way. And maybe this, we can't see it, but is more like becomes part of this. Whereas the one going up here maybe cuts across somehow. Really incredible, that thing. It makes me think of ocean currents. I can see another circle here generally. Down here as well. Other structures maybe too, more elongated. Another fault. So there's all sorts of this type of thing going on. Here's maybe a better image. So we've got a potential like chakra type thing going on there. Maybe one above it too. Oh, Lord. Okay. Let's get to where I think we're like approaching the structure. Just some more circle type things in here. This one, I thought this is the one I wanted to pause for. Here, around this way, around there, around here. It gets really pronounced in this. Maybe over there as well as over there. Over there. Here, I don't, like, they're not using like a drilling thing that's doing this. So it's definitely not like a product of the machinery. I'm like, right? Like, what? Definitely not. I can't believe I just entertained that for a second, like it might be a product of the machinery. Okay, this is really actually very important. It's not what I was thinking of. The way these layers are incredible. It's like so thin layered here. Kind of pinches as it like readjusts the shape too. Like the layers change, and then it widens over here. Like this to me is just proof that the Earth is didn't form in like a slow and steady way. But this is actually really related to the shallogram. So my last shallogram episode is relevant right now. Shallogram zone 14, I believe. Where each one of these shells has like an inlet conduit that I found to the. It's hard to show. Maybe let's just pull up the pictures that are probably good enough. I don't know where it is, but we'll find it. There it is. Okay. Where is a conduit thing? Here's one. Not the best one. On the other side is like one of these segments. I don't know if any of the pictures really have a good angle of it. Here's one down here. There's one on the opposite side right there. Some more circles. So very much doing this. Here we go. This has gotta have it. I got it right in front of me, and I'm over here. I just don't think. Don't think this camera will work. As readily as I would like it to. Let's see. 1 second. Just leave it like this for now. Feel free to move forward, I guess. Sorry. Microscope camera, there it is. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I got a toothpick. Alright. So it has a boundary. And then like an inner something else going on. Like the rest of the stone is like that, and then when we get to this, it's got a boundary around it. A pyrite in this case. And then opposite to it is the beginning of one of these shells. And then when we look at any shell, like here's the beginning of a shell. Opposite is this like conduit path. So that's the point. Conduit path, very reminiscent in appearance to this. And then this. And mind you, this in general is reminiscent of ammonite structure. So at this point, we've got ammonite structures. That's curious. And these just make me think of like some kind of conduits that are feeding like individual separate systems in some way. Potentially could be, like if divided, I guess. If wedged apart. Oh man, that makes me think of the hurricane. Massive flooding in Tennessee. Other places. You can really see the circles here. Sorry, anyone in that. Really sucks. The flooding. Dear God. Dams breaking. Bombs going off in Beirut, too. Here we are. We made it. I was looking at this. So this is a fault. And what immediately caught my eye, besides everything, that I'm going to just talk about now, is that this, like, so imagine some way there's, like, pressure on two sides of what presumably is the same material, like a single layer is there, and then pressures are applied within that layer to cause it to like snap and break, and it slips along itself like so, something of that nature, where there's a slippage of the layer along itself that then leads to this or fault. So something of that nature. I might not have given it justice is what I don't know if Sean mentioned compression of that nature, so I might be putting too much of my own interpretation into it. So let's just say that's my interpretation. I don't know. But what it caught my eye is like this should be something between the things. Like if it broke, if because he said it broke, so like it breaks. If it broke, then they shouldn't really like exchange into one another. But if we look at it over here, these are like going down. So along this, these are wrapping down, wrapping down, wrapping down, wrapping down, wrapping down. And then over here though, this like we run into a segment where like the portion that it should be wrapping down into is going like this way. So these are going over, over, and then this way. Which again looks a lot like one of those circles, maybe just like past this, and maybe down here, like this layer is like that other one. That this like a circle is wedged in here. But to a point though, where the current from over here, seemingly, like a current from over here, seemingly, some flow of that was caused by pressure, moved through here to a point where it actually got through. But because it was running into resistance, it wrapped back around like the other thing we already looked at that was in the wedged triangular shape, stuck in the corner, very much like that. But in this case, more large scale. We're seeing like an actual collision of pressures. And if we look kind of right here, we see this boundary where the pressure actually bends and wraps back. On both sides, bends and wraps back. So this side goes back, this side goes back. But mind you, they're going in opposite directions. So one's wrapping down and around, the other's wrapping up and around, it seems. And then instead of just creating a like eddy here, I guess maybe it created more of an elongated structure, like a lobe, so like more a shallogram ammonite, like more like this, than just like eddies colliding. Because essentially, like notice these chakras are even a little staggered in appearance. Let's see if we can get a more direct angle. What an incredible shallogram. Oh my god. The way, oh, look at these. This one also, science just doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Chakras are distinctly not in line. Slight stagger. We find this all over the place because they're not in line. There's an imbalance. But it's subtle because it's very close balance, where these forces are very balanced. So it goes in and wraps back, in and wraps back. It's not like either is overwhelming the other. There's a balance. It's so then we've got a sort of chakra type point right here then that sort of exists where this wraps back. So chakra. And then down here then seemingly coming to a point here slightly off from there, because notice it wraps back off of the top of the chakra and goes this way, where this one wraps back off of the top of the chakra and goes back this way. I'm just thinking like this one, the left one going this way is sort of over pushing the boundary a little further. It's also more like just flowing and wrapping and going back, where this one is flowing and colliding. And this collision seems to even be turning the chakra into more of like a tiered, like I almost can see tiers forming right here. And then another one here, and another one here, and then maybe there too, but also like there. To be literally forming the tiers of a chakra in this direction. But then in this direction, just it's not the process, like it's not adequate to actually form a literal ammonite type structure. So it's more just like fundamentals of the process, I feel like imagine grains of sand being moved around by like the currents of it all, where like now it's stretching out this way because there's this current going this way that's running into this other current. It starts pushing along this boundary, which then stretches this exact path a little bit more than a little off of there and more than off there, etc., so that it really goes that way, and then it goes down here and fills this way to actually start like cutting maybe even some of this base material apart, etching it, and then possibly flowing back and around this like general center and just flowing here in larger pressures, possibly in the same way where there's just eddy after eddy after eddy after eddy after eddy in all sorts of dimensions interacting with one another. Let's go in a little closer. Looks like maybe even like a small eddy there. It's hard to say with the plant what's going on exactly. This over here reminds me like the Pacific, when before the East Mariana Basin opened, how it would probably be. Interesting. That would maybe, I'm just thinking maybe that suggests the whole thing is like more after. When a current crossed the path to open it. I don't know. It's too many different dimensions of like what could the layers and not directly. Okay. I mean, do you guys see it? And this is smooth. He goes in and touches it. So like shifting over this way. That's kind of what I've come to think as I was looking at this. Because initially I'm like, what is going on here? Like, notice this. This is what first caught my eye here. This row kind of just stops. And it seems like related to really like this. If anything, like should be there. I would think maybe this, just at a glance, like maybe it was over there, so that suggests like something shifted relative to one another. But if this is like a ammonite type process, then that shifting might be more related to the ammonite type process too than it may initially appear. That's crazy. We even see it in here. The like faulting. So this is the surface of the bottom chakra, as I'm calling it. It even looks like it could be a chakra. It has striations on it. It seems to be perforated, rippled, like in and out a bit. There it is again. Then I thought this was interesting, like if it's a chakra going up and then it's reaching to like a next tier and then going over, and when it reaches the next tier, it actually maybe chakras maybe have like this downwelling point too. Like some goes up, some goes down over this like mound, and actually goes underneath and like cuts a path while other current goes this way or vice versa. Or like it's going down this way and then runs into pressure at certain points where it like cuts back in under the chakra. I don't know. This roundedness here. Point. I don't know what we're looking at exactly. I don't know. Going this way. And then we're at the end of the rock cut. So here is that fault line that looks like an X of two currents colliding, one going up, one going down, and wrapping back around to go the opposite direction. Looks like some of it also going up, creating like cutting into the chakra more versus just going back kind of thing to create tiers. Doing like this, but like inward. It's incredible. This one's incredible. Like, what in the... It's truly incredible, dude. What? Just sliced. Oh. And then it skips over and continues down past one of these weird dot things that it actually seems to be like part of. Continues. The way that's so flattened back there, like what? What? That looks sliced by this slice. That would be so cool. I don't think it's in line with it, but it sure looks like it's sliced. Very strange. What a cool shallogram. Pardon me. Okay, so notice though we've got like a lobe here, chakra, and then past this though, another lobe with a chakra. But like this is all kind of one lobe over here. This is like the main chakra, secondary chakra. Possibly similarly happening here with like a circle type thing, and then a chakra, but it's really off center. It seems, if where these are much more balanced. This one's like literally just a pillar type chakra. Let's see if we can find this one shalogram that comes to mind. I know it's early. Oh, I don't know how early. Guess not that early. There it is. There it is. So it's got like an opening over here, but it's still got like a sort of chakra thing. Where this is the real chakra, but like a secondary chakra. I mean, okay, let's keep going. Back to really here. Maybe we can even go to the video. There we go. It's so fascinating. It made me think of like a jigsaw puzzle. So, cause like, look at it. Line, 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 and then like chunks that are moving along those lines seemingly. And then like this here, this chunk right here seems very related to this chunk, like it literally slipped this much. It slipped from here to here. From here to here. So how did it slip? Maybe by this material filling in the space is what I thought. Like it was all one base material of the lighter material. And then inflowed this other material that occupied this space over here and wedged itself in and shoved this material over, but did it in a way where it shoved like certain layers. So it shoved these 3 layers that are like dissected across. At least to here, it's more like one here and another here, I guess, or maybe 2 layers. Although again, like it's maybe even only 1 layer, like all this, and then a second layer down here kind of starts. And then like a 3rd layer around here. But that would then suggest like all of this stuff was just shifted over here relatively to this material at least. So it's just up, 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 up. Which then would suggest like some deformation too. So then it brings me to think of like, holy crap, this is like the Earth's expansion process in like some fractal way that really reveals things, like maybe some base material that's more continental, and then like a flooding material like the basalt that makes up the ocean floor that spread the continents apart from one another and then integrated itself in some of them, like the Philippines, all these islands in the Pacific Northwest, the Southeast Asian islands. But then, like, if let's say it's wedging in over here and wedging in here, well then that's curious. When it wedges in here and fills this space, it pushes this material over and like kind of blocks this path. So imagine a current is flowing physically through this material of whatever this is. I think this is sandstone and mudstone. So let's just say that's what it is. Sorry if I'm wrong. He gives his geological interpretation as a geologist of those details, but the mud flow seemingly flows in to the sandstone and like runs into some section of it and like deflects off of it and cuts a path and goes down this way and over. Very much at the chakra where this is cutting across. I believe at least there. At least here it's cutting across. And then we see its effects over here, really. So, like, there's cross currents wrapping around this way, while this current's going down this way. And seemingly deflecting away from this, like, nucleus, I guess. Around it to maybe even form, like, the boundary of an ammonite if a more, like, complete process occurred. I don't know, like an internal ammonite, like this, the nucleus, where sometimes it doesn't have it, like on this one, it didn't, it's just gone, but frequently there's like a structure there that's like an internal ammonite nucleus, so maybe that was kind of functioning like a nucleus would by having the current be unable to actually get through it and instead go around it, leading to like offshooting currents. It runs into it and it offshoots this way, cutting around it though and going down. But then at some point, like that path where it went down and over wasn't good enough or something. Like it needed a different path, so it almost like shut off this path. The pressure was building through this path, so it literally shut the valve off by filling in this chunk, maybe, and just shoving this over to block the path, which then maybe like opened another current path over time to then come in at like a different layer, pretty much, where it's back here, it's coming in here, but then over here it's actually going more to this layer. Or you can't really see right there. I'll just move over there for now. The detail is less pertinent. You can really see the wrapping back here and going up that way. Incredible. And then down here, chakra with the tube chakra between. Like there's actually a little chakra there on this side's ammonite structure, but then this kind of looks like those circles in a row. The way it has that. And then there, circle. I feel like there's something to say. Maybe kind of going up here and across here in a more like broad sense, but like also turning back more sharply to like where we were looking right here. Where the other side is there. But possibly with like a more of a chakra, something else though. This also looks like it could even go like, although that's like based on the road cut. Still has like lines kind of going up that way. I don't know. Might be based on the road cut. It's hard to say. Then over there. Seems to have layers. But then specifically what I find interesting is this has this like, dude, not specifically, but show the opening of the Pacific, or the Western Pacific, in my interpretation, formed something like this, where it basically had a bar that then just grew by a current flowing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until then it actually grew so large that the same current flowed in a different direction, leading to this. So, like, imagine this current here is kind of like boxed off. Like, it can't really, we'll just ignore over here because this other current, let's just say, is so strong it does not allow anything of this first current into that space, so we can just basically ignore it, is what I'm getting at. So, and then the surroundings over here too. So both directions, it can't really grow sideways much more, so it like kind of pushes out as much as it can and just grows this way to a point though where maybe, let's just say, it starts to create like so much back and forth that its actually optimal path is to go up and down. Makes me think of the top and bottom currents in shallograms. Top, bottom, left, well, side, center, top, bottom, center, and then 1/3, 2/3, top, 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 bottom, center, 1/3, 2/3. I'm just thinking maybe there's some element of this that it like kind of opens a space like this, but like retains like this portion, which then leads to kind of like a bubbling out like this. And then let's say this current does actually overwhelm this space. And it can't get any bigger, but it just does the same thing, and it leads to a bubbling out where it actually balloons out, so to speak. Maybe from like a halfway point of the circle, though. Something relevant so that it doesn't like go like this. Even though it can somewhat do that. So I guess it can do that, so it's not like a big deal. Like if this circle were to come off of here, it might be a little too not typically chakras are more like they reach a low point and kind of go sideways. So it's not like there's just circles in a row. Although it looks like there's rows of like two circle, like a endpoint here and an endpoint here that are like two nuclei, two focal point, that then this current basically, instead of forming one of these circular things, it forms a structure more like that, like an orbit around two nuclei, whatever. And one of them grows. But those behave as one, and then another is over here, and that one grows. And those all behave as one, and then another is next to it, and that one grows. Maybe it grows off of the side as well. Like, let's say this goes to here. This circle goes to like there. So then we have this chakra shape here. That has that sharp point, and then the tier and over, and the tier and over. It goes around, basically around focal points that get progressively larger by doing this kind of chaining thing. Where then, like, once this happens, like, maybe the next focal point actually starts here and kind of, like, cuts in. And then over time, like, expands away. Oops. To create, like, a full-blown chakra of the next tier, so it just continues and continues and continues as far as the energy can take it. But where the reason I say this here, notice it cuts into the side. I know I'm just kind of drawing it like that, but that's very common in ammonites. Let's find some examples. Probably a good one would be nice. Kind of see it here. It's just, that's known. It's not like I'm like even saying something that's not known. And the shalograms that I use as basis for what I have to say are not really known, but it's basically where the siphuncle is. So the siphuncle is really this thing that then leads to an eddy around it, I guess. So like these nuclei are really parts of a siphuncle type of structure that wraps throughout the entire eddy in a large enough type of process. That's so cool that I actually feel like I realized something relevant. 2 shallogram formations from this rock wall. and just the way the grains, like the chunks in this case of larger material are moving around, but like in a shallogram, the same thing's just happening on a much smaller scale, where it reaches the point that individual grains appear to be in motion at times. Okay. Um, I think I generally talked about what I wanted to talk about, so I'll just end this here. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that was interesting. See you next time. Peace.